animated graphics in Adobe Fireworks is a fairly simple process. What we're going to actually do is create a image file called an animated GIF or GIF. The GIF format actually stands for Graphics Interchange Format, and it's one of the image formats that is supported on the internet in most or almost all internet browsers. Let's begin by creating a new document. Let's make this document 800 pixels wide and 600 pixels in height. For this tutorial, we're going to use a red arrow that should be in a folder called Animated GIF 1. And we'll just take and place this arrow somewhere on our canvas. I'm also going to zoom out a little bit so I can see my entire canvas. You may not have to do this if your monitor has a high enough resolution. But what we want to do is make our arrow move across the screen from left to right. And I've just moved it a little more so it's right up against the left edge of the canvas. So, a feature you need in Adobe Fireworks to create animated GIFs is the states feature. So if you're not seeing states in one of your sidebars, I see it over here right next to layers. But if you're not seeing it, you can just come up to the window and click the window pull down menu and click on states, and now you should be able to see the states. And these states actually represent frames. And so what we're going to do is create like 8 frames, total of 8 frames, and then have the arrow in a different position on each one of the frames of the states. What I'm going to do is right click on where it says state 1, and I'm going to duplicate this state. I want 7 more of these, so we'll have a total of 8. And what it's going to do is it's going to create these frames, and on each one of these frames is going to be the red arrow. And we're going to come back and actually move the arrow to make it animated. Now we're ready to start moving the arrow, but first I'm going to use a feature called onion skinning, and I'm going to set my onion skinning to custom so it will show the previous state as I'm working on the current state. Also, I'm going to turn off multi-state editing, so I'm going to check my onion skinning again and uncheck that if it is checked. So now I'm going to click on state 2 in the states panel, and I'm going to click on my arrow and drag it over until it's to the right of the first arrow. What you're seeing kind of ghosted out is the onion skin of the previous state of state 1. That's why we turned on the onion skinning, or set the onion skinning settings to what I described. Okay, I'm going to click on state 3 and take the arrow that's on the far left side and drag it in front of the one that's on state 2. Then go to state 4 and repeat that process, dragging it in front of the one on state 3. And then go down to state 5, drag that arrow over, and then state 6, and it's going to probably overlap a little bit before it hits the edge of the canvas. Now we can actually preview what our animation looks like. There's a little play button down near the bottom of the Fireworks screen right above the Properties panel. We can click on the play button and we can see what it's doing. It looks like it's kind of lagging at the very end when it goes back to the first frame. And also we can stop this and then click on the arrows to go to the next state or the previous state. So what's happening is there's state 1, there's state 2, state 3, state 4, 5, and 6, and then it goes back to 7, and we never changed state 7. We left the duplicate arrow on state 7. Same way with state 8, that duplicate arrow is still there. So what we'll do is delete state 7 and 8. I'm just clicking on state 7, holding down my shift key and clicking on state 8, and then right clicking and choose the delete state options. Now let's play it, and you shouldn't see a lag at the beginning. Okay, so maybe our arrow is moving too fast. What we can do is slow this thing down. And what I'm going to do is click on state 1, hold down my shift key, and go and click on state 6 so all the states are selected. Then I'm going to right click and choose the properties option, and we can change the delay of the state. Right now it's set to its default of 7/100ths of a second. Let's change this to say 50/100ths of a second. That should be a half an inch, or a half a second, correct? Alright, now let's play it, and you can see that it moves quite slower. Likewise, you could make the animation faster by selecting all the states, right clicking and choosing properties again, and making the state delay maybe 1/100th of a second. Let's play that and see how fast that is. That looks really fast. So what we want to do is find a good medium for how fast our animation should be, and I'm going to choose maybe 33/100ths of a second. That looks like a good speed. But again, it depends on what you're animating, what the speed should be, of course. Okay, so we really didn't need all of this canvas space, so let's go ahead and crop. So we have just a smaller, thin canvas that will just be big enough to encompass all of the arrow. And we'll play it to make sure it fit in there okay, and it did. So to actually use this animation in a web page, we would want to save it as an animated GIF. So I'm going to use the Save As command. I'm going to pick where to save it. I'm going to save it back in my animated GIF 1 folder. But the file type, you want to change the Save As Type option to Animated GIF and give this a name. I'm going to call this one Animated Red Arrow. So if we want to actually preview what the animated GIF file looks like, I'm just going to open the folder where I saved it, double click on it, and we should be able to see a preview in the Windows Picture and Fax Viewer application.